Hello and greetings from Colombia and Latin America. I hope that all of you who are tuning in are happy and well, and your loved ones too. This Latin American panel on arts and peacebuilding has been designed jointly with 4 other colleagues and practitioners, all of us dedicated to working in this field. Over various conversations, we have explored how arts organizations have continued building peace during the pandemic. We will now go over the most salient points from these reflections. In recalling this past year, marked as it has been by the global pandemic, we have grown aware of the fundamental place of art in overcoming this situation. Music, cinema, books, dance, theater, painting, and art in general have helped us on the most difficult days with our own moods, mediating relationship with others, and enabling us to express how we have perceived what we have each been experiencing individually or, thanks to technology, even collectively. In Latin America, the pandemic made clear what we already knew about the social inequality that structure our societies. Therefore, while we were asked to stay at home and look after ourselves, for many this means the loss of their daily income from informal work in-person activities. This led to an average of 14% unemployment across the region. It became impossible to live at home. The uncertainty around income, the fear of death, and of excess academic workloads at home are all tensions that have spilled over into family life, elevating figures for domestic violence significantly. Meanwhile, acts of direct violence that apparently had improved during the period of strict lockdown, in fact, saw worrying increase in such countries as Brazil, especially in the favelas of Rio de Janeiro. The Federal Supreme Court has prohibited the police action, but children continued to die as a result of stray bullets fired by the police forces. Likewise, in Colombia, the murder of social leaders has not ceased and has even been made easier due to their having to remain at home during the lockdown. To date, in 2020, 251 social leaders have been killed during the pandemic. Hence, the emotional, economic, and social impacts of the pandemic have been significant, not only due to the current circumstances, but also the previous conditions that made many of our contexts into societies at risk. Nevertheless, amidst this panorama, cultural organizations from different Latin American countries found ways to continue their activities and therefore their work for peace through the arts. In the majority of cases, technology played a fundamental role. This meant using virtual tools as spaces for education, meetings, and for creative endeavors. Hence, the cultural organizations create thematical focus classes online, both live and recorded, WhatsApp videos, text and exercise books for distance learning, and radio programs. In our conversations as a group of colleagues, we found that processes undertaken by artistic organizations in the midst of the pandemic helped participants to find peace of mind, insofar as they prove to be a form of company amid the isolation. This was of benefit to one's mental health and helped with emotional relaxation, creating moments of joy and spaces to let out internal pressure, which counterbalance the feelings and uncertainty. Likewise, at home, this process also served to reduce tensions among family members through their own participation in joint artistic activities. In class settings, we saw how these spaces help to maintain social connections by enabling some kind of social interaction through joint challenges, collective goals, and human contact that prevent the loss of social bonds. Finally, we found that long-distance artistic activities continue to promote social justice, insofar as the topics dealt with took into account recognition of others and boosted social sensitivity. We will now offer various examples.
Hello, I'm going to talk about my experience of teaching a course during this time of pandemia of music therapy, logotherapy, and for health and peace. I guess we all agree that this was one of the most defiant years we had the opportunity to live. No one could say that it was easy, but it gave us the possibility of finding the defiant courage of the spirit, as Viktor Frankl would say, the founder of the logotherapy, and he himself survived 4 concentration camps. This year, the National University of Misiones, Argentina, started a graduate program called Integrative Health, mainly for professionals on healthcare, but not exclusive to them. After debating whether to start or not because of this pandemic, we decided with a group of professors to go ahead with the program. It was the first time in my life that I had to teach an experiential course of music therapy via internet. Nevertheless, this situation allowed students from neighboring countries such as Paraguay to participate of the program. As we most know, music, whether listening to it or playing, was an extremely important resource to help us cope during this quarantine, or in Argentina, more than quarantine, I would say centennial. These classes became a healing place for everyone, a place to know more about themselves and about their relationship with music, and as well as learning how to use it in daily lives and in the workplace. Learning about logotherapeutic values to help finding meaning in life in spite of not understanding this global illness and suffering was of utmost importance. And last but not least, how we were all creating a culture of peace by being centered with strength and hope towards the future, and how to communicate that to the people that we live with and work with. We were able to sing together, to learn to relax with music, and to share empathically our humanness. Learning how to solve conflicts without violence, which is Galton's method, was also an important tool to use it during this time. If we think that life as music and music as life, peace will be then saving the music of life. We have tools to do it, and we have the will as well.
Contributions to peace, social justice and recognition of the other, social sensitivity. We explain our experience as a social clown during the pandemic, actions, and the web. Some families have limited possibilities to enjoy all forms of art expression for relief and catharsis because many times the only thing available is a cell phone due to social inequalities in Brazil. How can art be used as a tool in peace building to help overcome social barriers aggravated due to the pandemic? Since most families in this area of country have only one cellular phone for the whole family, difficulty encountered by elementary school teachers to send only short, low-resolution texts and videos by WhatsApp since in most cases they have to rely on the willingness of parents to pass the content on to the children. In view of that, our group of clowns and artists from University in Action project within Paraíba State University have carried out some actions. These actions started from school inviting our group of clowns to talk about a subject that initially interested them due to the commemorative dates within a school year calendar. The initial presentation was for a fifth grade class to celebrate third anniversary of Institute of the Child and Adolescent ECA. ECA was an achievement of social movements since previously urban periphery children, mostly poor and black, were discriminated against and so-called minorities, with a negative connotations almost like thieves just because they were playing in the streets. Since on the ECA's main achievement is offering children guarantee of priority care before all government agencies, it becomes fundamental explaining children how to demand their rights, how to denounce harassment, so that they become aware of their legal conditions as well as need for constant struggle to maintain rights, especially nowadays when attempts to reduce criminal majority age is being discussed to withdraw the rights of vulnerable populations. The experience of approaching this subject like a clown creates an atmosphere of relaxations and exchange of ideas thus become a rewarding challenge. Still within the subject of sharing knowledge through video conference, now called lives, we had the opportunity to do with Folklore's Day when we invited people who work in popular culture, presenting the difference in folklore, which is static and has fixed in the past, to popular culture, which is alive and seeks to get out of the discrimination carried out by the mass media. Finally, we talked about Black Conscience Day, dealing with racism, cultural values, and the ancestry of black people, fundamental in a country composed by blacks in more than half of the population, where black children are killed by the police, black teenagers have a high mortality rate, and adult people receive salaries well below the majority of the white population. The second initiative of action was to make videos asking children what they wanted to clown to do. In reply, among other ludic activities, children asked us to play in the hammocks, do acrobatics, and magic tricks. A group of male and female clowns from our group carried out these activities and prepared videos which were sent out to the teachers who relayed these videos to their students' parents who showed them to their children. We already received feedback from children And we were happy because our play reached parents, students, and our friends and their children, some of whom even started to imitate us, which was a delight. The third action was a challenge. Teachers asked us to prepare clown makeup tutorials. In order to do that, we formed a diverse group of female and male clowns with different skin colors so that children could identify themselves and perform their makeup. Teachers also accepted the challenge and they themselves used clown makeup and did some magic tricks. The children sent pictures of their makeups as the clowns, often making up their smaller sisters, and others even performing clowning numbers, which was a beautiful scene to watch. Although we feel physically distant and we lack the warm reaction of the children's audience and the school environment, it was surprising because we were able to create performance based on different approach, which was transcending those we have already performed. This way, reaching more schools and people. Thank you.
Arts kept us close to our emotions. For example, we might laugh or cry during a movie. That is the very basic and most important part of the arts. They remind us that we are humans, that we can feel empathy for others in a time where our interaction with others are limited in different ways. When we watch a movie and see a big crowd interacting, when we listen to a song and it brings us a memory of our past, or when we read a book and we can mentally travel to a distant place, those are reminders that there is a world waiting for all of us when this difficult time ends. During this pandemic time, arts have shown us their importance in fostering social cohesion. People gathered together to sing in the balconies to lift up their spirits and their hopes. When Monday through Sunday lost their meaning and became just another day, we needed something to help our mental well-being, and the arts in their many forms were there for all of us. But again, let us not forget that arts are the product of human creativity. Therefore, the humans who created and keep creating art are an important part of the social fabric. Artists provide us with a metaphorical mirror where we have the opportunity to see our own reflections in songs, paintings, and pieces of poetry that remind us that we are social beings and that there is a world outside of our window that is waiting for all of us. Perhaps when we go back to more normal times, we can emerge as very human beings, responsible for keeping peace not just with each other as human beings, but rather to be in peace with our planet, a planet that has already shown some signs of recovery while we keep ourselves isolated.